Good soldiers follow orders.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to your favorite Australian Star Wars Unlimited podcast with your favorite Australian Star Wars Unlimited podcasters.
Yes.
I love
Hi,
that.
everyone.
We're back for episode 3.
Yep.
We
We're back.
are feeling very middle-aged after our weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
We have a lot to
cooked.
talk about.
We've got
Big
a lot to
weekend.
talk about, as Tebow said.
Mm-hmm.
So today we've got a recap of Saturday's events of the Baddest Batch 2K,
Mm-hmm.
and then Sunday's events for the Sydney PQ.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, Tebow, what's going on, man?
Man, not much. A lot of SWU over the weekend. So that kept me busy for a large part of it. Didn't see my wife much, so I have to catch up on wife points over that week. But yeah, a lot of SWU over the weekend, so kind of burnt out. Obviously, we ran the event on Saturday, so even though I didn't play, it was a long day. Yeah, I was cooked. I called off work on Monday. I was sick, just being around so many people. We finished so late. Yeah, like I was actually sick on Monday. So yeah, I'm feeling better now, but yeah, haven't played SWU all week, and I don't think I will, just because we've played so much. My brain is a bit fried.
I wasn't even sick on Monday. I just couldn't be asked. So I didn't bother going in.
Fair enough. The baddest batch way. SWU or nothing.
Tivy, how you going, bro?
Mate, I'm still tired. I am definitely feeling middle-aged. I can't say swooed out because I drafted a cube yesterday,
Ooh.
and I must say that was quite exciting.
Okay.
Well, you didn't actually play any SWU on the weekend. You just watched everybody play SWU on
That's
the weekend.
Yeah.
true.
It's very true. So I got my fix on Tuesday. I got to judge everybody,
Mhm.
and yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I did spend the weekend with my partner because she
You
came up.
did? You did?
Yeah.
So that's good. Don't have anything to miss out on or catch up on, and unlucky for her, she's working night shift this week. So
If you haven't watched any of the stream yet, you'll see Shantae on the Saturday and Sunday on stream.
Yeah.
Actually, we
Yep.
didn't have a video feed on the Saturday, did we? It was only the Sunday.
Correct.
just a Sunday, that's right.
But you'll see Shantae on stream breaking her streaming virginity,
Mm-hmm.
and she killed it.
The
Nailed it.
videos for
She
that
did really
are on
well.
YouTube in next couple of days. Depending on when they watch this, the videos for the PQ where she's on, where you can see her, should be next couple of days.
So, all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Baddest Batch 2K. Let's
Go.
start with opening thoughts. What do you guys think? How do you think it went?
I think it went great.
Great success.
Great success. I think.
Oh,
What's that? How do we get that?
I don't think he can. I think it's because he's using his Mac camera.
I hope it caught that
yeah.
on video.
Yeah, it's on video for sure.
It definitely did. It definitely did. That's amazing.
We
Yeah,
just
great
figured out
success.
that I could do that just before.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, I think resounding success. I think it kind of shows the effort of planning we put into it.
Mhm.
And I mean, there was some rocky bits where we had to move the venue and the date, and all that was sort of left behind us with what I feel was a pretty well enjoyed event by all who participated. Hopefully, people will tell us if it's not, and they're allowed to. And if there's stuff that we can make better, obviously we're going to take that on board. But yeah, no, I think overall, pretty good weekend.
Yeah, I had fun, and it looked like the community had fun as well. Like you said, you could tell the organization that we put together prior to the event, because everything went as smooth as it could have from our end of things, at least. Venue was perfect for what we needed on arrival. Yeah.
One repair. That's all I'm going to say. Only one.
Only one repair.
Only one.
Venue was good on arrival. The space was accommodating, and we had room for enough players. Yeah, lighting was okay. We had room for our streaming setup. We had everything was good. Players could go grab a drink, grab some food. Like even that, like food went great during the break. Like nobody was late. Everybody got time to eat. Yeah, all the little things that we weren't sure about, we're like, okay, well, we can only hope that everything goes well. Went well. And the community was really happy. Like the players, every player that came and talked to me about the event was really happy about it.
Yeah, I think some of the things that were like, I don't know, like not annoying, but some of the things that were like, oh, I wish this wasn't like this. It was all really solvable things. Like the thing that got me was having to jump across two different rooms for judging. So like I got my process down pat by about round 2, where if was in the room that you guys were in streaming, I was watching the other room, and if I was in the other room, I was watching into the stream room because I think some of the community need to get the hang of just putting your hand up and shouting judge.
Yeah. For
That was
They definitely got the hang of that by Sunday.
my Sunday.
Sunday. There was a few very arms up, judge.
For context, the room that we booked was separated. There was 2 rooms separated by glass, like a big glass panel, right? We had only one of the rooms booked, but there wasn't anybody else in the other one. It was a big room, so players were able to kind of overflow in that other room. It was a bit hot to start with. It took them a while to solve the aircon. So it was good that our players were able to overflow across 2 rooms. But yeah, so there was a glass panel, so TV could see, TV and Clint, because I saw Clint roam around a lot, quote unquote, judging and helping out.
Oh, I was judging. There was a lot of judging.
Judging, I think we were all judging how wrong we were with assuming the meta for this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to that. My thoughts. It was awesome. There were a couple of little hiccups, but you know what? We're in our season 0 as well. We're still working things out. It was our first event, and we think it went as well as it could have gone. We've identified areas where we can make improvements, and we'll be implementing them moving forward.
Yep.
But yeah, let's start talking about the actual meta that was at the Baddest Batch 2K.
There you go.
And how a Sabine ECL player got it completely wrong. And I'll freely put my hand up and admit that I called this completely wrong.
We all did, and I think you called it when you even said the one ECL player, because you are the one Sabine ECL player that I know. No one else has been playing Sabine ECL for like how freaking long?
Look, like I mean, the only thing that I can put it down to is that perhaps where we are, we might be a little bit disconnected from, you know, the likes of Western Sydney as well. Because a lot of the Sabine players were out Western Sydney way, where we don't ever really go. There was... talking about that's more Sunday, but on Saturday, actually there were a couple of our local players that had jumped over to Sabine ECL. There were a lot of comments.
James Vickery, yep.
James, yep. There was
how dare he stay on Django where you belong?
How dare you?
Bloody going to Sabine ECL. What do you think this is?
But the line of thought behind it, and the comments that I heard from a couple of people were they jumped onto Sabine ECL because it was less mentally taxing playing a back-to-back competitive events than it was to go in and play Han or I don't know what else, a control deck or something along those lines.
Can we just take a minute to...
I know what you're going to say, and I hate you.
I mean, how many people think it's less mentally taxing to play Sabine ECL?
All of them.
All of them.
Hey, I don't disagree. When your rounds are 20 minutes and you can have a break in between, it's 100% less mentally taxing.
Oh, jeez.
Let's have a look at this little graph that you guys put together. So for context, it was 48 players. So everything you see here, 10 Sabine ECL. That means it would have been 5 or 6, I think. Sabine ECL most represented, then Anakin Blue, Quinlan, Voss, Tarkentown, then Ray Tarkentown with, I think it's about what, three each, something like that. Two Tron Blues, two Sabine Yellows, two Django's, two Bosk, two Han, two Palp, two Cats, and everything else was one. So yeah, only two Han Yellows. Again, we weren't expecting too many Han Yellows. We know it's the best deck, but it's a high ceiling deck, hard to pilot. One of them was actually Blake, who flew from Perth. So we actually had, we're talking a bit about the event as a whole, more than meta, but we had players from all over the country. We had 3 guys from Perth, we had a guy from Brisbane, we had guys from Melbourne, Newcastle, Central Coast, Canberra. So really, really good to have people really travel from all over the country, both for our event and the PQ on the Sunday. So yeah, I was also surprised a little bit by the amount of Sabine ETLs, mostly because we hadn't seen a lot of it. Good amount of Anakin. Quinlan was expected. Ray, I don't think I was expecting as much Ray. I think she's fallen out of favor a little bit, so I don't think I was expecting as many. Anything else surprise you guys?
The lack of Django.
Yeah, only 2, I think.
Yeah. I would have thought if we hit those numbers with Sabine, well, actually no. I thought the numbers that we got for Sabine were what we would have gotten for Django. That's where I would have landed initially.
And not to skip ahead to the PQ, but there were only 2 Django Tarkentowns in the PQ as well. Like that's, I think we've all said it, that like Sydney has always felt very mid-rangey in terms of meta. Like that's kind of, I mean, you got your Han for sure, but like Django is a little bit more of an accessible mid-range deck. Even same with Quinlan. Like Quinlan wasn't very heavily represented either. So
3.
Definitely a big shock. I'm glad I was judging instead of taking my control heavy deck into this aggro meta.
Look, Sabine has game into pretty much all those decks though, except Han.
Yeah.
Han 1 yellow is definitely the most difficult one. The second most difficult one on that list, I'd probably say, is Kylo Tarkentown. That's a matchup you really, really need to know how to play into to get an edge there. And even then, sometimes you can just get blown out by a god draw and you just drawing not the answer you need.
You've said this a couple of times in conversations you and I have had where you as the Sabine ECL player who in 99% of your matchups are the aggro player, in this one you're the control.
Yeah, definitely. And I can definitely, if Tebow and I do a little quick recap of our day at the PQ, I can definitely go into that a little bit because, spoiler alert, I played 0 Sabines on Sunday and played 2 Kylo Tarkentowns.
And there was a lot of Sabines.
Go figure.
We'll look at that, but there was a lot of Sabines. So there was a lot of Sabines here. Also a couple of Sabine yellows. I was expecting a little bit more because we spoke about, obviously, the Melbourne guys were going to bring some Sabine yellows. There was only 1 Melbourne player with Sabine yellow and 1 Perth guy with Sabine yellow. So a lot of Sabines all up. And I was a bit surprised by seeing 2 Trons. Obviously, one of them was Ian. And the other gentleman, I didn't know where he was from.
That was the guy from Brisbane.
Brisbane?
I'm pretty sure Ian has PTSD after Saturday and he swore off Thrawn.
Ian won his first game on stream against Tim very, very, very convincingly. I must add, like he did not leave Tim a chance. Like Tim battled the whole way through, just Ian had every answer.
Props to Tim on that one. Like he
stuck it out.
He did not give. He
did not give up.
Like he made him work for it. Like it was. I was watching as a hard control player. It was brutal.
It was brutal.
Tim like stuck that out like an absolute champion.
And Ian won this game, and then I think he lost everything else. I think really surprised.
He just ran into every Sabine after that.
I think he had a bit of everything. But yeah, good day, good variety. I guess we can talk. I'll talk a little bit about the top 8 and how that went, and you can tell us a little bit about judging and maybe a couple of interesting calls you had, TV. But But top 8 was good. I think we had a Sabine, Isia Mira, Sabine Yellow against something else. There was a Quinlan Tarkentown and a Hun. Basically ended up being in the final Quinlan. So Aaron, who was running his Quinlan Tarkentown, against Blake, who was playing Han Yellow. Phenomenal game in 3 games. Phenomenal match to say in 3 games that Aaron ended up taking, which ended up being funny from a pricing point of view because obviously we were meant to be a cash event. But it turns out that the week off last Monday, so the week off, TV got a Quinlan showcase out of a pack roulette pack that we did at HR on Monday, and yeah, struck a deal with Aaron. Well, I mean, we gave Aaron the option. We said, hey, look, do you want the showcase or the cash? For us, it's kind of the same. Anywhere with the showcase. So it felt pretty cool because that's the showcase that we wanted to give out as a prize to start with.
It was a crazy coincidence, really.
We just
From
couldn't
the
find
start,
one.
we just couldn't find one. I mean, there was that one
Not a
that was
reasonable
they were
price.
selling it. No, it was a
Yeah.
completely unreasonable price, and we're just like, no.
And so the
not
fact
that
that's
badly.
that's what we wanted to give, and that's the leader that he won with. The story was just
a great
so good.
story.
Yeah, the story was. He also came from 8th. He was 8th to make it all the way to the top and win. So that was pretty good. Clint, anything you want to add before TV goes to some judge stuff?
Not really. One thing I will say is that I did watch that finals game this afternoon that you'd uploaded, and ignore anything that I say on that stream because I just sound like a former shell of myself after 12 hours there today. So
I didn't even listen.
I could hear my brain like melting out the side of my head. Yeah, there. It was so bad. That was not some premiere podcasting right there.
It's funny because I actually had a chat with Aaron the next day at the PQ, and he was jokingly saying, "Oh, you guys were criticizing some of my play," and I said to him, yeah, like obviously it's hard because it's our job to always say something, like always try to guess the options. Oh, okay, he should have done this, he should do that. And a lot of times we don't have access to what's in their hands. We tried hand cams, our setup wasn't perfect. That's going to improve. And obviously, usually the player knows better than us how to play that deck because we have to know how to play every deck that's out there to commentate. Players realistically focus on their one deck. And so, like at times we say, oh, he really should have done this, he should have done that. And obviously those could be great plays, but sometimes the players themselves like make some great plays and they think like 2-3 steps ahead. They're like, okay, I know I have this, I know that's in my discard. Like, and sometimes we don't have as much information, so we may sound like, for lack of better words, like a dick by saying, oh, he really did the bad play here, this, that. But just
it's nothing personal.
Oh, never.
Basically, it's nothing personal against the player or the play. You're right. We're making conversation on stream, trying to predict what the player is going to do, especially without lack of hand knowledge.
Yeah.
And then when they make a play that we view or that we consider might be suboptimal, we don't know what's going to happen in 3 plays time. Like, it might all of a sudden click into place and go, okay, well, that's the line he was taking. So it's whenever we make, quote unquote criticisms, it's never a personal jab or anything like that. It's where we're calling it how we see it.
And we're never shy of, like, when there's a great play, we're like, wow, that was nice. That was phenomenal play. Never shy of giving props when it's due. TV? Your side of things?
Look, all in all, a great day. Some interesting calls, some interesting rules and interactions with cards that I've just never seen before. And then I get asked, how does this work and how does this go?
What was that one with Cad Bane and the Avenger?
That's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah.
It was player A. Yeah, player A plays an Avenger. Player B change of hearts it. Player A then plays a Cad Bane and captures his own Avenger that's been change of hearted. And then the wording on Cad Bane is, on attack, the defender can choose to free a card they own. So the owner of the card is not the defender. So he can't free his own card because he's not the defender of this attack, the player who Change of Hearted it was. But at the same time, the person who is the defender can't actually choose to free the Avenger because it's not his card. He doesn't own it. So you basically, like, I mean, you've stopped your opponent from getting an Avenger, which is always a good thing. But it's stuck under your own Cad Bane for a while. Pretty much forever until that Cad Bane's defeated in some way.
Yeah.
So it's some interesting things that came up, and I was just like, whoa, I've never seen that before. Let me have a read of this card and see how it all works. And then, yeah, just a couple of other things. I guess more like those rules ones are always really interesting when you see some of those different card interactions that you just don't see a lot. And I mean, I play villainy decks with Avengers, and a few that have had Cad Banes, and I've never actually done that before. Some other stuff that's more on the policy side of things. I don't know how many times, and we will get into it a little bit, how many times I had to tell people on the day, report your goddamn results. Like, yeah, the first one was probably, I don't know what the nice word is. It was a little bit frustrating personally, where there was two players got to time, and
that one, yes.
they didn't record their results. And then there was a bit of contention about what the actual result was. Had to go have separate conversations and talk to them. Eventually sorted it out. But I mean, you shouldn't really be leaving the table until you've recorded your results.
Yeah.
The other one that you probably thought as well is where one player incorrectly recorded their result, the other player didn't actually confirm it or review it, and we didn't find out until 30 minutes into the next round. That one, I think I've said it to you both. That's probably going to be the one that haunts me for a little while. It was definitely a lesson learned on my part, and I think the one thing that I've just sort of had to accept is, and it's in all the judge policy documents. Judges are human. We make mistakes.
Yep.
I'll own that one. Probably shouldn't have done it the way that it came out. It wouldn't have actually changed a whole bunch. Well, would have changed certain things, but we won't go into. But it would have changed a couple of things, and it would have not changed some other things that sort of people were a bit, I don't know, shirty about, for the lack of a better term. But like we said, it's our season 0. It's our first event. You know, we know for next time we're not going to let this hold us back going future events. We've worked out things that we'll do differently into the future, like paper slips.
Yeah.
I think we laughed about paper slips at one point, and then seeing how like kind of important they were in the PQ, it's like, yeah, we're doing both. Like, you're going to report on Melee, we're going to have paper slips. I don't care if it annoys people, we're doing it just to convince it out.
Like, I mean, it's case in point.
It works,
like,
right?
We didn't have this issue at all on Sunday.
No.
So,
No.
So if it means we have to lug a printer around to the next event to print out stuff, you know, so be it.
Yeah.
I have a printer.
We'll figure it
I will
out.
bring my printer with me and print out slips.
Yeah. But
if we avoid this problem in the future.
Overall, amazing event. I think we were happy. People were happy. The community responded really well, and I think that's what matters.
And I think we saw 3 showcases cracked out of our prize support.
Correct.
One of them,
Yes.
one of them-
showcases.
one of them may have been an Ahsoka and Anakin, and a damaged General Grievous.
Correct.
But hey, 3 showcase. I mean, that's not
nice.
incentive to come to the next Baddest Batch event.
That is.
I think
2 more
that's
to
in
Sunday.
total 5 showcases given out on our event. 2 for prize support and 3 random
true.
equipments.
Yeah, true. The guy who won the lucky door of the Lando showcase said immediately, he said, him and his friends were like, "Oh, you've been wanting it since set 1," and so he was super stoked about getting the Lando. He was like, "Yeah, like he's been wanting it since set 1. He thinks it's cool. He loves the actor, and the actor happens to be who was on the showcase." So that was super dope as well. That was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually said when G left, because he came to me and said he was dropping. He's going to head home. And I was like, "Oh, come get your 4-packs, but you should probably open them here because you know there's going to be a showcase in them." And he just laughed. We had a laugh, and then he walked up. He walked out the door and sent me a picture. He's like, "You called it, mate." And there's the bloodiest Stoker. He's like, "It was in my last pack."
The photo is you can see the sidewalk behind him. You can tell he couldn't wait to get to the car. He just opened them on the street. But yeah, let's move to Sunday because we got plenty to talk about here. Probably more than we did on Sunday.
Definitely a big effing day on Sunday.
Big effing day. Clint, I'll let you start. You can tell us about
You
it.
let me start.
I'll let you start.
Okay. What do we want to do? Do we want to do a tourney recap quickly? Because mine will go a damn lot faster than yours will.
I think we'll do that. What do you think?
Yeah, do that.
We'll do that. Okay. All right. So I went 3-3 on the day. Played Sabine ECL. Not my best performance, and I would have liked to have done better. But through a chain of events of my own doing, I kind of put myself on tilt for the whole day, and it just went from bad to worse for the rest of the day. So my first game was versus Ray ECL, and I won that one 2-zip. It's on stream. Game one, stream for game one, round one. I should
It'll
say.
be uploaded on YouTube as well. Every round will be uploaded.
And then this is a classic case of don't build your deck at 12:30 at night after you've just run a tournament for 12 hours. So when I was putting all my deck back together after sideboarding and all that, Idiot Clint realized he had an 11 card sideboard. So Idiot Clint went in, judged himself, and went and saw Judge Tibby. And as a result, received a game 1 loss going into round 2.
One day he'll mute himself.
Yeah, maybe he'll mute himself. We'll see. He's probably muted his headphones and not his microphone. Is that right?
Yeah, probably.
My OBS output was muted, so.
Right.
Oh, okay. So only we hear you, but not the people.
Only we hear you.
Sorry, before you go on, can I just interject though? I will say, to your credit, yes, you did self-judge yourself and brought it to my attention. But two, also, it didn't actually affect your game. You weren't actually using that card in any sideboarding at all. So
No.
It is essentially a clerical error. It was not a game error. But yeah, sorry, go.
So anyway, but that was fine. So that happened. I'm like, great, awesome. Okay, let's just move on to the next round. Next round 2, I get Lockie. Sydney local. He plays at our local. We play all the time. I'm like, okay, Lockie's been playing Quinlan ECL or Quinlan Green for a little bit, and like that's okay. I can win that matchup. Sit down, and the arsehole drops
this monstrosity
yellow. I just look across from it. I go, really?
It's emotional that
really?
he was already on edge at
yellow.
that point. He was on edge.
Scotty's iron yellow deck.
Which, on Monday night, the previous Monday night, I'd been to a showdown, and I won that showdown for 4-zip. And one of the decks I had to beat was Scott playing Iden Yellow.
Yep.
And I just narrowly beat that 2-1 just through some lucky top decking. You know, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and I just got really lucky in that game. Anyway, I'd made a shift in my deck because I hadn't really settled on a 60, and I'd been talking to Luke from Perth, who was the Perth PQ winner. We'd been talking quite a bit. We talk about Sabine ECL a little bit. And I just said to him, hey, I don't know what to take. I'm just going to take your 60. And that was a case of just basically being full of rebels for the early to mid game until you get to Poe and putting Metal Ceremonies back in. Honestly, probably the best decision going into this matchup because even though I got entrenched not once, not twice, but 3 times in the first game, I managed to have just a red 3 sitting there, and I think I Metal Ceremony twice. And I just managed to be able to just keep pushing damage, even though half my units had
Entrenched.
been entrenched. And in the second game, it kind of went a little bit more similar, but I think Lockie got a little bit unlucky and wasn't able to pull into his sort of late game stuff that he needed, and I just managed to go wide and flood the board and push damage with Rebel Assault as well. So even though I was one game down going into that, I managed to recover. We're going into that 2-1.
Yeah.
2-zip kind of, but 2-1. Then game 3, I played into Chris from Melbourne in his Cad Bane Tarkentown deck. I feel okay. Sorry, my throat is just still buggered from the weekend. I feel okay going into Cad Tarkentown. I know the lines that I need to take. I know how to play around the Tarkentown, the Tarkentown essentially. And he managed the game 1. He managed.
Yeah, he's dying.
I don't know. Hang on. Game 1, he managed to.
You got some water?
Go grab some water, buddy.
Yeah, that's all right. I know I've got it now. To now there are 2 of them, Bosk and kind of just got ahead of me a little bit. Tebow, you're gonna have to take over.
I'll take
Go
over.
get some water.
Go get some water.
You
Quick,
take.
Go grab
quick
some
side.
water.
TV, how do you want to do this? You want me to go? You want to go first?
Talk about some of your early games.
So I think Clint was talking about his round 3. So, first round I get Sabine. I get a Central Coast kid. I get Sabine. So I was running Anakin blue. It's important. That's kind of the deck that I felt most comfortable with. I had enough practice, so I felt pretty good about it. Sabine ECL, less experienced player. I won fairly easily 2-0. Mainly, I think he said he hadn't had a lot of practice against Anakin, and I think that's very important. You need to practice against Anakin. I think Anakin is a sneaky leader, where you need to trade with Anakin's unit, otherwise he can trade up into anything that you have, and you have to be careful, especially when you're playing aggro decks, how much damage you put on the base if you don't have anything to deal with Anakin, because all of a sudden if you play a Sabine and you punch a bunch of damage, all of a sudden if I'm swinging for 8 or 9, it's a problem on a 25 base. So yeah, I think I managed that pretty well. Again, he left a couple, so go ahead.
You've got a lot of practice into that deck, obviously,
Yes.
as well with Clint.
I got a ton of practice
piloting it a lot.
Yeah. Like I said, I think a couple of times he was like, well, I'm the aggro, so I'm just going to punch with everything I got, and letting me install a little bit of presence. Like even a Sabine or Yoda can do a lot of damage to Sabine's deck if left unchecked. And a Sabine can kill the Sabine leader if left unchecked on the Anakin side. So yeah, that was fairly easy, 2-0. I was happy to get my first win, especially because the last PQ I lost my first 3 matches, the one in Melbourne. So I was happy to just break the curse a little bit. Second game into another Sabine ECL, so there was a lot of Sabine ECL. We'll go over the meta a little bit afterwards, but there was a lot of Sabine ECL. So I get a second one, which this one didn't go as well. I played my game plan well, but it's hard when it goes, ECL Poe, ECL Wreckers, and to be honest, both games I was on the verge of flipping the switch, I think, when Anakin can come back and have control of the board and things like that. And both games, the last 8 damage were 4 cores twice, including one of them was a top deck. So that hurts because I can't prevent those 4 damages. And I had a heal on the board and stuff like that, so I was about to come back. But both times 8 damage through 4 cores. So I was very tilted by the end of this game. Very, very tilted going into lunch. I was just like, this is just, that's BS. And I wasn't too happy because I felt like I played my game. But yeah, I had some chicken tenders that Shantae brought me, so that helped me calm myself, and then I head into round 3.
It's always a good recovery with some chicken tenders.
Yeah, round 3 was really fun actually. I played against Matt, one of the senior locals, and he was playing Luke ECL, which him and I had discussed that list because he had reached out to me prior to the Canberra event and said, well, look, I'm planning on bringing Luke Green to CanCon. Like, I know you played a lot of it last set and you were relatively successful. Like, what's your list? And I gave him my list. It was very different than his. I explained my choices. And so we spoke back and forth a little bit prior to CanCon. And I started across from him. I said, oh, okay, awesome. I see you went with ECL because mine didn't have ECL originally. And he said, well, to be honest, I butchered the list. He said, I made so many changes since. I tried a bunch of stuff. But it was really fun. He's a really good dude. We had a great match. I won 2-0. But it took me a while, and I made a couple of mistakes, admittedly. It took me a while to get back into the Luke thinking aspect of it. You're so used to, like, sometimes you let units live, you know, if you can go to base, if you have the advantage. But with Luke, you can't. He gets on the board, he has an open resource, you gotta kill it straight away. And so it took me a couple of times where I let a Maz get shielded and an Echo Base defender get shielded, and I was like, lock in. But yeah, it was a really fun matchup. Games went the distance, but I think I had a better late game than him. So that was really fun. So that was my round 3. Clint, you want to finish your round 3 against CAD?
Yeah, round 3 versus CAD. Game 1, he got now there are 2 of them off and managed to ambush a boss scout. Can't really remember what happened that game. I think what happened towards the end, it was very, very close. And I ended up just being 1 damage off. I needed to Hail Mary for a cause for the win on it. And I had 3 non-heroic cards in my deck, which were the 3 Dark Savers, and I hit one of the Dark Savers off the top, which means I lost game 1. Game 2. Game 2. I don't know what's going on, guys. Game 2, I sided in the Sundaris, and I just managed to take over the game with Sabine, Sundari, and a Darksaber. Just being able to heal a whole bunch with the Sundari, and then pump the Sundari with the Darksaber on the Sabine. And that one wasn't even close. I had like 4 damage on my base by the time I got him to 25. Yep. The third game, Chris switched his plan a little bit, and I managed to draw into a Sundari and play the Sundari, and he was like, nah, that thing's got to go straight away because it was putting in too much work. Which I'm totally fine with, because if he's going to spend, 5 damage getting rid of my Sundari, I mean, I'm saving 5 damage there anyway. Unfortunately, my draws started to let me down in this matchup. I didn't really have a play for the Sabine flip. The only play I had was for a cause, so I jammed the for a cause to try and dig for some more, just so I could dig to a Poe potentially for resource 5. Didn't hit the Poe off for a cause, so I just had to go into the next round, and then I just drew flat, and the only play I had was an A-Wing on resource 5. And so I just attacked with Sabine, played my A-Wing, claimed, and I think, did he clear the board? I can't quite remember, but I know I was close enough damage-wise that I drew into it for a cause that if I could at least hit 3 damage off for a cause, I was ahead that action to win the game. And then so I played for a cause on round 5, on the 5 resource, and I top decked 2 Darksabers, so I could only do 2 damage off the for a cause.
I was standing next to you when that happened. That was wild.
Which meant I was 1 damage short to win the game, and there was nothing I could do about it.
That's
Because all I needed to do was 4 cores and then ping with Sabine, get 3 damage off the 4 cores and ping with Sabine, and I'm pretty sure that's how it went down.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure the game was very close.
Yeah,
even though
I was there for
I
that
drew
one.
very, very flat. And then I don't know if this is private information, but someone else told me afterwards that that Chris was very worried about that
private.
game 3 because his only saving grace was me drawing pretty flat,
Yeah.
pretty much. So unfortunately, look, he played well. Nothing he did wrong. I just got very unlucky in that 3rd game, especially round 4.
Do you want me to take you round 4?
You take
You
round
good?
4. Yeah,
I'll take
give
it.
me a rest. We'll alternate.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak a little for continuity's sake, but Clint ended up playing two colored target towns.
In a row.
In a row, yeah.
In a
And
row.
I think it was only 3. There was only 3 on the day. So at that point, Clint was 2-1. He played.
Kenny.
He played
I've
Kenny.
got the list up here.
Played with Kenny.
So,
I
yeah.
think he lost 2-0 quite convincingly. I think from what I remember from what Clint's saying.
Yep.
Then
It was a blowout.
It was a blowout.
It was an absolute. Again, my deck wasn't built for that type of aggro matchup. So it was a little bit more difficult. The second game was a little bit better with the Sundaris. And so you got a little bit of the restore and
Yeah.
but I did make one because I played it back to back.
Yeah, I got it. And interesting list though with Kenny because you had 59 cards. TV, correct?
Yeah, that's
big
right.
list.
59 cards, which
Yeah,
I thought was
Which usually
pretty
Kylo,
interesting.
you try to keep it short, sweet. You want to play like you want to keep it
Everything does what you need it to do.
50. Yeah.
So when I first saw it, and then the only people who I told this to on the day were the streamers, just so that they could have a bit of info. Because
Not
Kenny
us, by
was
the
on
way.
a stream once.
I
I
was on
definitely did
stream.
not tell these
Yeah. It was
goobers. But yeah, like when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, 59. What? Hello?" Like, and then I was just looking at some of the extra stuff, and they're things that when I built my Kylo double red, I've always been like, "Oh, should I put that in instead?" And like I've always taken stuff out to replace it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, and I know you get a lot of discard, but you also don't get a lot of draw. So
Yeah.
like, personally, I've always just felt like I'd rather just stick to my 50 because most of the 50 that's in there, it's pretty gas shit. So like it just does well. But Kenny did well on the day,
did.
like in terms of results. So like it clearly works for him. He
Dude flew from Singapore.
If he went
Nice.
4-2 for the day.
He flew from
So-
Singapore. That's dope. He went 4-2
And went 4-2 on the day and ended
in the top
10th
16.
overall.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
Speaking of
yeah.
deck lists, TV did try to deck check me early in the day. Came and got me saying, "We got a problem because you have an illegal deck. You have
hang on.
You have 48." No, is this not what happened?
That is, I would
feeling
like to I would just like to clarify the original information came
You will be
from
able to clear your
Colin.
name after.
Colin said, "This is an illegal deck. Go check it." And I did. So I was just handed with information. I didn't actually check your deck,
Yeah,
man.
and he came to me and said, "Oh, 48," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Before I printed my list, it probably didn't update. I've been missing this and this, like something that I added that morning. And I look at the deck list and I'm like, the both things that I thought wouldn't be there, which was the third cannon and something else, were both there. And so I'm like, hold up. And so I recounted and I did have 50. TV and I actually went over my list the morning because TV stayed at my place over the weekend. And we were doing
Was
some
it
changes.
romantic?
Not as much as you think. Yeah,
As
actually,
much as it could have been.
it could have, yeah. A couple of changes we made early, sideboarding, changed my removal, stuff like that. So I knew my deck had 50, but yeah, he tried to deck check me. So yeah, Clint had 2 Kylos in a row, lost both. Tilt levels were maximal at that point because you were...
Look, going into round
2-3?
5 versus Adam
yeah.
and his Kylo Tarkin Town, I did go 1-2.
Yeah.
But I did realize a fatal mistake in hindsight with probably both rounds, but more specifically with the round versus Adams Kylo Tarkentown. For some reason, I thought, since I am the control in that matchup, I just go, oh, I'm the control in the matchup, I side out my Rebel Assaults. And I'm like, and afterwards I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you siding out Rebel Assaults in that matchup? You're the control, but not a control deck.
Yeah, it's one of your best cards in that matchup.
You're not playing into a control deck.
Yeah.
So I kind of probably punted myself out of those rounds a little bit. And look, no excuses. It's my own fault. I'll take the losses on the chin and learn better for next time. Anyway, it was just a rough day for me.
Yeah.
All round. You know, with the 12 hours that we spent out the day before, 5 hours sleep. Then, you know, I was probably too heavily caffeinated as well, which probably didn't help. So, you know, it's probably not a great idea to do back-to-back days. Look, these sort of events, you always have to get a little bit lucky as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's skill, and there's also a little bit of luck involved in getting the correct matchups that you need.
Yeah. I think what Clint is saying here regarding back-to-back days is interesting, because I think if you're doing back-to-back days of playing, I actually think it's good. Because I came into Sunday feeling a little bit underprepared because I watched everybody play Saturday. I didn't get the reps. I didn't get to try out some of the players that I knew were going to be there the next day. I watched everybody play, and I think when you watch, well, it can go both ways, but I watched a lot of players on Saturday thinking, wow, they're good. Okay, oh, he's good. Good thing, I don't want to match up against him. He's good with that deck, he's good. And on the other end, you can think, okay, this guy's not great, whatever it is. But I didn't get any reps on Saturday. And the week leading up to it, not that much. So I felt a little underprepared. So if you're going to do events and you play both days, I think that's pretty good. If you, like us, if you spend the whole day Saturday prepping, so that impacts your sleep, that impacts your focus, stuff like that, I think it can play a role. If you're playing, I think it can be actually beneficial. Because I personally felt a little underprepared coming into it.
Says the guy who got top 4.
We'll come to it. What was Clint's last match?
It was versus Timothy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Timothy.
he was
that's
playing
fine. Hondo.
Alp Yellow?
Hondo.
Oh, Hondo.
Hondo.
No,
It
No,
was
it was Hondo.
Yellow.
It was Hondo.
And look, I'm really sorry to make you relive this trauma, Timothy.
If you're listening.
but I finally Sabine got to do
Sabine
what
stuff.
Sabine does. And what would have been nice to be able to do at least once or twice again throughout the day. Just, you know, I don't want to call it a free win, but just have Sabine go off and just go, okay, cool, I've got one game that I don't have to worry about. And in this game I went, like, I think it was a Jin into Fleet Lieutenant into Rebel Assault, because he couldn't remove any of my turn 1 plays, into Sabine flip into Fleet Lieutenant.
Oh, wow.
And
Jesus.
it was, I think I had 20 damage on board by the end of round 4.
Wow.
It was disgusting.
Huge.
It was absolutely disgusting.
So that was Clint's day. Clint's day at 3
Yeah,
p.m.
my day was like, I just jumped on the streaming table after that and just
Before we
shoot the
go
shit.
before we go into yours, Tebow, one thing, and I guess one topic that we've talked a little bit about now over this weekend is the whole. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yep.
Just to talk on that for just a quick minute, I think it's really something that this weekend showed me. I've never really considered it a little bit before, and Clint's always brought it up, and I'm going, yeah, like I can see that. But obviously, having never been to some of the like these bigger events, and I didn't go to the last set's PQ, and being on the event staff, I was able to bring up the tournament controller through Melee and see and follow people individually and see where their matchups were and who they played against. It's it's actually pretty massive. Like, we talk about Clint's pairings of the day, and Clint's, I mean, we give him shit for it, but the dude knows Sabine ECL. So you give him a mirror, and I think you know how to play into it particularly well. It's all you've really played, apart from a couple of
Yeah.
instances outside of it. You know what it does.
And I will say, the whole reason I went with Luke 60 from the Perth PQ was because it was specifically tacked for the Sabine mirror, knowing that the day before we had 6 Sabines and we could extrapolate that to, a wider audience and going, there was probably going to be more. And there was.
And I mean, the odds of it, the odds should have been in your favor to get at least one, and you get none.
Yeah.
I mean, Sabine makes up almost 22% of the total makeup of the PQ. And to compare it, Kylo makes up 5%. And you pair both the Kylos out of 3 and none of the Sabines. Like, sometimes that is just that's, and not to put the skill of the other players in question, it's definitely not. And even if you are that lucky one, it doesn't mean you're less good of a player. But like, your matches over six rounds, like in a tournament of 60 people, you're only playing 6, so you're playing 10% of total players in that tournament. So if they're playing decks that favor well into yours, and it can get unlucky.
When I think about it, each round that I played was fairly low represented. Like, there was probably only one Ray ECL. There was only 1 or maybe 2 CAD Tarkin Towns.
I can tell you there was 2 CAD Tarkin Towns, 1 Ray ECL, 3 Kylo Tarkin Towns, and 1 Hondo Yellow.
It's crazy. Like, I didn't hit Sabine or Anakin, which would have been great for me.
Easy.
So yeah, it's a what are you looking?
I said easy there on the easy Anakin win. Easy there. The Anakin slender, I would not stand for.
But no, I think like overall the point is, like, you have to be really happy sometimes with what your matchups go into, over how well you play individually. And like you play, I mean, we give you shit for it. You play an S tier deck.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of bad matchups when you're playing an S tier deck like that. Like, you're looking at the Han double yellows. They're probably an exclusion. They are an S tier deck, but they are not an easy deck to pilot. Not to say that Sabine's easy. It's just, I think it's a lower skill ceiling than Han. Than Han. Everything is compared to Han.
100%.
Quinlan Tarkentown is a lower skill setting than Han double yellow. Like, they're very different decks, but like, there's not many bad matchups. But you ran most of them.
Look, and the Kylo matchup isn't unwinnable. It's just,
it's difficult.
You're pushed out of your comfort.
You can just get blown off the board with it. Yeah.
You're used to being the aggro in 99.9% of matches, and all of a sudden you're now shifted to be the control player, and your deck's not geared to it. And if you don't have an answer to Kylo, I know as a Kylo player, if you let him swing twice with a Darksaber, you've basically lost. You don't come back from that.
I literally was hard mulliganing for K2SO so I could ECL K2SO into Kylo. And even that didn't save me. I only hit it once out of the five games.
But yeah, I think we'll move on. Smoothly. So
we're sick of hearing about Sabine.
No, it's just that we don't take 2 hours either. But I'll finish my deck. I'll finish my deck.
I can't talk anymore anyway. So.
I'm really saving you here. I'll finish my deck.
Talk about your matchup, Tivo.
So after Luke, I think my 4th game was against the Kira, not ECL, Kira 30. Very nice gentleman who I beat 2-0. Happy with that because control matchups can be really, really difficult for me. So it was really fun. But yeah, his Kira didn't do much both games, which I think saved me. I think he used his Kira to kill like a Kanan and a K2SO maybe both times. He was just worried about my board getting too big. And so both times I managed to have Anakin come out without him having Kira to answer. So both matches, they were really fun actually. Really nice gentleman. I had a really good time chatting with him and playing. So that went fine. So I think at that point I'm 3-1. Then I
played Rowan.
Then I played Rowan on Django Target Town. Man, that was a game. First game, he whoops me. Whoops me. It would have been a 4-minute game. He drew everything that he needed, and I was just like, okay, well, that was fun. So he destroyed me first game. Second game, I destroyed him. There's nothing he could have done. I think he drew very flat in the second game. Like he was playing stuff, but nothing that felt really impactful, and I was just rolling with the punches. Like I just had my stuff. And now the third game was phenomenal. For context, he ended up with 3 Ruthless Raiders on the board. He hit 3 Ruthless Raiders on the board, so he tapped my Anakin twice with that, but my Anakin managed to swing I think once, and if I can swing for 8 or 9, I think it would have been 8 or 9 at the time on the 25 base. It's tough, especially because I swung once with Luke, once with Anakin, so that's 15 damage there. I had done a little bit. He captured my Luke, but I had a K2S ready, which is basically that's how I won the game. He couldn't finish it. But 3 Ruthless Raiders, which are really hard for Anakin decks to manage as it is. That was tough. But that was good. I think I'm 4-1 at that point, and then I play Alaric. I went and played on the stream table, Sabine ECL. And they were both great games. I had fun. Go ahead.
Just the math on it. Clint plays no Sabine ECLs and you play 3.
I played 3.
In 6 rounds, it's
nuts.
It's crazy.
Which I don't love playing Sabine. It's a good deck. But I played my matchup against Alaric really, really, really well. Like he played well. I just played slightly better. And it's funny the comment that Alaric made. He said, as obviously the game was developing in the end and I was winning, he was like, "How many times have you played this matchup into Clint?" And it's true that Clint and I have practiced this matchup a lot, and that helped me on the day because I knew what to do. I knew what cards I was meant to look for myself and what I had to try to stop for Sabine. So I win that 2-0. And I finished with 5-1, and I'm through to the top 8, which I was super stoked about because I think I really underperformed the last PQ, so it was a good redemption. I think I came 5th. Right? I think I finished Swiss 5th. Because I played Rowan 4th. Aaron, sorry. Top 8, I played Aaron, the winner from Saturday, the 2K, with his Quinlan Target Town. Going into the match, I didn't really know how to feel. Aaron was hot. He was 5-1 as well. He just won the day before. I versed him in the showdown the week before as well. He was playing really well, playing his deck really, really well. First game, he whoops me, keeps a force throw his own hand and kill my Anakin on flip. Nothing went well. He was controlling the board. Second game, same thing. He still force throws himself his own hand to kill my Anakin, but this game I win. I don't remember how, but I win this. And the third game, I controlled most of it. I was really in control the whole time. One of my A-Wing did probably 9 damage. And funnily enough, it's a daring raid that I got from my sideboard, which gave me the win because he needed 5 damage. And it's funny how it's not a misplay, but I think he was really hesitating as to what to do. I think he was in 7 resource, and my A-Wing was left unchecked. He couldn't kill it. The only card I could kill him was a big Falcon, the set 3 Falcon that you can ambush, but he was in his resource row, and the second one that he had in his deck, he sideboarded out. And so he takes it out of his resource row, so he doesn't have ambush. And I'm thinking, okay, do I attack first with my A-Wing or do I daring raid? And I'm like, I decided to daring raid first to do 3 damage, which good thing I did because he had a Kira and a Sparkle Rebellion, so he could have gotten rid of my lethal. But so I ended up winning a really, really tight game against Aaron to go into the top 4, which is why I got this bad boy.
Hey!
the holy token. In my photos. Look, my top 4 match.
Is your wife jealous yet? Are you sleeping with the token more than her?
I'm saying it. I've been looking at this like the ring, like gold in the ring.
It's the holy grail.
My precious. Anyway,
running circles around.
yeah, my top 4 match, one of the most epic match I've ever
dude.
played. One of the most epic match of Sue I've ever played. I played against Blake, Han Yellow, best player on the day. He was 6-0 coming out of Swiss, wins his top 8 against Han Green and Fletcher. And man, this game one. I mean, you go watch it. Go watch it on YouTube.
If
Once
you
it's
have
there.
to watch a game of Swoo this week, you need to go watch
It's a
this
game of
one.
Swoo.
Look, we are gonna obviously props each other all the time, but this is the single best game of SWU I've ever watched as well.
It was crazy.
Like,
It was nice.
You both were the back and forth between you two, and I can't remember how many times. I think there was one point where I was watching you guys, and then I was like, oh, hang on, there's another game going, and I am the head judge. I need to go over and pay attention to the other game. But it was a Sabine ECL into an Anakin Blue. So I went over and I watched them for a bit, and I was having a bit of a chat with some of the spectators, and then I came back thinking there must be a result in the first game because we were at 40 minutes in the round. So I went to Clint and Shantae, like, who won the first one? It was like, this is the first one. There it is. 35 minutes left in this 75-minute round, and they are still going. And I couldn't believe it. And I've gone back and watched it, and just the draws and the plays, each of you, like, back and forth, the best.
And
like,
we weren't
if
slow
you
playing.
didn't have that waylay, I kind of feel like
yes.
you might have had, like, that was the absolute most clutch waylay I've ever had to see.
And if you want to talk about criticism as well, we criticized a couple of plays of Tebow's on the stream as well. And Tebow's our boy. Like,
I know,
as they should.
but like they were working every single time. You could see it was like that the Hangover movie where Zach Galifianakis has all the math in the background doing the blackjack. Like you could see it on his eye, in his face when he was playing. Like it was
very long
intense
game, and we weren't slow playing. Like it was just counter after counter after counter of just like
crazy.
For context, he won. Like he had one action that he killed something of mine. I don't remember, like McCray, bounced McCray a couple of times, whatever. He only had one card left in his deck because obviously he attacked with Han. He resourced. He was doing the Han resource a bunch of time. He only had one card into his deck, and I had an Obi-Wan which he kills. And I experienced my Luke and a draw of that. And I'm like, if it's a force throw, I'm good. And I drew a Village Protector, which I couldn't play because I only had 2 resources open, and that would have been the game. But anyway,
I remember you saying, if I hadn't resourced at that turn, I'm a fucking idiot, and I had to go back to the video immediately, and I had to text you later, like, you resourced, you're fine.
But phenomenal game. The other guys were done in 20 minutes. The other top 4 match, quick. But look, that was great, and then Blake went on to win the whole thing against Riley and his Sabine ECL. But I'm super happy about my day. Top 4, it's only made me want to get another one, to be honest. Gonna lock into.
Hey, there's Adelaide this weekend. You want to go to Adelaide?
Not for 500 bucks. All right, TV, tell us a little bit about your day, and then we'll wrap it a bit.
Before I do that, the other thing. Sometimes better be lucky than good. I know I'm harping on about it a lot, but I've also just looked at the math of your matchups for the day, and we were talking about S tier decks and A tier decks, and we pretty much consensusly agree that Anakin is an A tier leader, and you played 3 Sabines, a Quinlan, and a Han one in your day, like,
it's a big
and
day.
to win against all the Sabines. Oh no, you lost against one Sabine. So you beat 2 Sabines and a Quinlan Tarkentown, and then lost to a Han. Like, stellar day to you.
Just lost to the Han.
Just took it, like, I think we don't give enough props to the stuff like that, and that's we always had these conversations amongst ourselves, like what makes a good player, what makes a good player at this game, and knowing how to play your deck is important. Knowing how to play a wide variety of decks is equally, if not sometimes more important. And like to take that leader, who is not bad leader by any stretch, just not that next level S tier compared to some of those other ones.
Tebow just loves a challenge and hamstringing himself with 6-cost leaders. That's all.
Yeah, wants to. You and 6 cost leaders. I'm sick. You have to play a 6
Hold
plus
your
I
leader.
have. I
thoughts
played Gar.
for the
Oh,
tier
one
list.
time it doesn't count.
I love Gar. I
Hold
love
your
Gar,
balls
and I'll
for tier
continue
list.
to play Gar. But it'd be better if he came out at 5.
Oh, sure, every leader would be if they came out at 5. Sabine would be nicer if she came out at 5.
No, 4's perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yes, judging. Look, it was an awesome experience. I'm really glad I did it. Obviously, Premier's not my cup of tea. I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite thing. I love
To play.
you boys. I play. You boys know me. I love a draft.
Yeah.
Give me a draft any day of the week. 2 draft leagues under my belt already. One at Grimdark and one at HR. I love my draft. But judging, I think, was a cool calling for me. I like the whole sense of community. I like building a community, and one way I can get into it. I get to have a lot more chats. Some interesting calls on the day. Obviously, compared to the 2K, this is a more formal competitive setting, so there wasn't opportunities for me to be relaxed on rules. If there was rules broken, there was penalties. Did issue out quite a few penalties. You saw me at the start, deck checking people, and there were quite a few. And it just goes to show sometimes you take extra care, like for these events. I know it's tough. I heard it a couple of times. I wrote my deck late last night. I get it. I do.
How did it feel for me to be your first?
Sadly, you weren't. You were my first between rounds, which meant I had to issue the deck for game loss. But there was 4 illegal decks submitted
Wow.
Oh, really?
prior to the event. So
okay.
Too many cards, not enough cards?
not enough cards.
Wow.
So what I did at the start, just to make sure and to sort of get everyone on I didn't want to get to the point where we were going to do random deck checks, and I didn't want the decks to be illegal, because if the deck's illegal and the list is illegal, you're disqualified from the tournament if it's discovered during a round. I didn't want that to happen to anybody, so I thought, I'm going to spend 30 minutes, and I tried to do it myself. Lucky Colin showed up when he did, because it wasn't too many deck lists to just check. So we just were counting them out, making sure there wasn't 4 of anything, making sure there was a minimum 50, making sure your sideboard was only 10. Found a bunch. In terms of if we find it, then you just get a warning, and it's 2 points. If you get 10 points over the course of the day, you get disqualified.
Yeah.
So look, that was all good. I think it was worth the time effort to put in. I was the only judge there, which I think, given the size of the event, I think logistically probably it does make sense, but it also makes things a lot harder trying to get those deck checks. If there are simultaneous judge calls, we had a process. Ellen and Malloy of Mega Games, who cannot thank enough for their efforts on the day they're planning. You can just tell they run great events. They almost make it look easy, but it comes out as a really good day. So they would go over to whatever judge call it was, start a stopwatch, and then I'd come over, and once it was done, I'd sort of add that time for that person for how long they had to wait for me, and then any extra time based on a judge call if it was anything like that. Lot of just I think I won't call them simple ones, because I'm not going to disparage anyone for calling a judge. I think we said it at both events. Calling a judge is not an aggressive call. We want people to call a judge if you're not sure of anything. These are competitive, especially at a PQ. You should. If you're not sure of something and your opponent says it, you're not 100% convinced, call a judge to clarify it. Couple of interesting ones, couple of errors people made. So like accidentally drawing an extra card or drawing a card when you shouldn't. So card manipulation errors. There was some interesting ones. I won't name names. The person, if they listen to this, knows who it is. Deployed their leader early.
Oh.
Okay.
So we had to roll it back, and it wasn't too bad. It's just difficult. Like, they didn't catch it until about 2 actions after it had happened. And so basically then the person who deployed early got some free information on the other player's hand, because we then had to roll it back. So how do you sort of resolve that stuff? And you just got to do it in a way that is fair. Like, I'm always trying to get the best outcome for both players. And sometimes, like, I mean, in that call, I looked at both players' hands to see what their hands, what plays they might have done that turn if it wasn't for any of that. And we talked it out amongst each individual player, came to a quick resolution. They went on with their game. Yeah, there was some, again, I won't name names. There were some stuff. We're not going to shy away from it. But there was some behavioral stuff on the day. And I think we made the joke. It's because at the start of the 2K, first thing that I said was in my judge announcements, don't be a dick. And look at that, no one was a dick on the day. I didn't say it on the Sunday. I didn't say it on the PQ. I didn't say don't be a dick, and lo and behold, it happened.
There was some dicks.
There was some dicks. And look,
not the dick that people like.
No, not at all. And look, I think I'm happy with how I handled the... I know. Trying to just move on. Here we go.
That's a good one.
I do. I like that. I tried to... and look, and props to the... What do we call them? Bystanders. The people who kind of had to suffer the dickishness.
Mm-hmm.
Props to each of them. They were all pretty chill about it. And sort of afterwards, both like Colin and Eleanor Malloy and even some of the other people, came up and I mean, they didn't have to, but they came up and sort of gave me props for how I handled things, and I'm pretty happy overall. One thing that surprised me and I guess made me feel a little bit happy because I didn't have results to factor my day. Sure. But like lots of people just came up to me and just said, thanks for judging, like really happy with how you judged everything, despite some people who probably got the harsher end of some of my calls or decisions, still came up and thanked me. So that meant a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Felt a little bit fuzzy and warm inside. But yeah, I mean, my thing now is I'm probably going to have to, at every event that I make judge announcements for, it's going to start with "Don't be a dick." That's pretty clear now. I don't care who's running it. If they don't like us swearing, if they've put me on as head judge, they've just got to accept it. It's going to be in my terms and conditions when they bring me on. Yeah, my first announcement is always going to be "Don't be a dick." But yeah, it's tough.
It's the golden rule. It's the golden dick rule.
It should be, right? Like
we're all adults. We're all, as we said at the start of the podcast, we're middle-aged men that just want to play cards, and we don't need anyone being a dick.
And what I think I think your phrase on it was my favorite, and I use it now when I talk to other people. Clint, was we're not playing for houses. Like, there's nothing in this other than like a cool sense of pride, some awesome showcase promos and shit, like an amazing initiative token. Like, we're not playing the World Series of Poker here. You don't get to be Phil Hellmuth, which is just don't be a dick. Be nice to the people around you. We're here to have some fun, and if it's not fun, why are you doing it?
I think what's important to understand, because I know the situation, and I can understand that some things can be frustrated, and your role as judge is sometimes you make calls that can be unpleasant, right? I think people have to remember as well, like, I might sound like a dick, I'm not trying to be one, but if the more impact the situation has, the more you're going to do to resolve it in a way that has little impact on that people. Like I'm saying, I'm talking about the impact of that person being given a game loss or a match loss or whatever. Like, if it's on the end tables and it doesn't have too much of an impact, like, you might not work for as long than if it's like, damn, it's something in the top 8. What do I do so that this has as little impact on these people as possible, right? I could be wrong, but I feel that that's kind of how you try to resolve it, right? And so people have to be okay at some point, look at themselves, look at the standing, look at the situation of the game, and be like, look, it sucks, I'm being penalized, this, that, but the person across from me, they didn't mean any harm, or they're not doing anything wrong. It's okay. Shake on it, and for next time. And again, like, you didn't lose the game, you didn't lose the tournament on that, right? Just don't be a dick.
Well, that's it.
I'm gonna write it, get it written on the back of our shirts. We're gonna have a special edition shirt that says on the back, "Don't be a dick."
I have to, like, because it's what it comes down to. And I think the one thing, and in that whole interaction, and this is probably something that I'm always really pro about, take responsibility. Like it's no one else's fault but your own when you're doing, like, we're adults. And look, not to go too heavy again into it, someone sat at the wrong table, played a round out against the wrong opponent. It happens.
It's all good.
It's not the end of the world, but you got to be an adult about it and be you and these bloody effects. But other than that,
trying to liven the mood.
I love it. I'm going to switch it back to, I do want to just say, out of certain things, and even including certain things, overall, the event was awesome. The community is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Just having, and I think us being there and streaming on site, being involved in it, it was just an awesome fucking day.
It was great.
Like, it was so much fun across all of it, and like, I could see smiles in people's faces. They were having a good day. It was awesome to engage in the community directly. It was awesome to take some of those people out over into the streaming booth and, you know, get them some interviews. Like Shantae was loving the interviews. It was great, and I think the people who were being interviewed were like enjoying it as well. And it was awesome to bring that to the stream. Like, we had Rhett had finished one of his games, one of the Canberra boys. He finished his game, I think, against Aaron in one of the final rounds. Might have been.
He was playing Sabine. He was playing Riley.
No.
It was not top 8.
Not top 8. Not top 8. No.
Swiss.
So Rhett. Yeah. So it was in Swiss. I think it was round 5-ish, maybe. They finished up relatively quick. And I knew there was some of the Onyx guys in the chat from Canberra, in the stream chat, and then, like, I was like, oh, well, Rhett's done. If there's still some Onyx boys in the chat, let's get Rhett on the stream. Like, let's get him interviewed, get him talking about his day. Like, that's awesome stuff that we want to see, because the reason we started this is because we want to build this community. We want to grow this community. Like, seeing those outcomes, I think, is better than, you know, whatever results we got and whatever judging I got to do. Like, that was like the best result, I think, for me.
And it was a bit of an eye opener for me as well. Hence why we made changes to the Facebook group as well.
Yeah.
Is that after the weekend, it was very obvious that, not that we were purposely segregating any sort of communities or anything like that, but just having it named as Sydney just didn't seem to feel right anymore. And if our goal as a podcast / event organizer is to grow the community and bring everyone together, well, then Sydney doesn't really encompass it anymore. Hence why we're getting more people involved in managing the community side of things as well.
And thank you to those that are willing to take that on. Like, it's not easy. Like, we've learned this firsthand. Like, organizing events and engaging the community and trying to get people to come along to stuff, it's hard work. And we've had, you know, stores and reps from stores reach out to us that want to build stuff, and it's a lot of work. It's not just, you can't just pick up, you know, a bloody deck of cards and just build a community from it. Like, you've got to put in the hours and you've got to put in all this side stuff. And I think it's props to everyone that wants to help out and do it and be involved, because that's how we keep this game going. Like, no one wants another Destiny, no one wants a failed game. We love this game, we love Star Wars. Let's just keep playing it, keep growing, going from strength to strength. And I think these events, they're doing that.
As you obviously, you mentioned our stream went well, you judged well. That was our...
Judged okay.
You judged okay. That was our goal, right? We were clear about it. We said,
I love you too.
Saturday's event needs to go well.
It goes into the next event with a match loss, round 1.
Saturday needs to go well. We need to judge well. We need to have a good performance, playing wise, on Sunday, and we achieved all that. So we're super stoked about that. Also, we were talking about the stream that went well. I just want to shout out Shantae and Aussie Wookie, obviously Byron, because they did a tremendous amount of heavy lifting for us on the Sunday. Shanti obviously commentated with me on the Saturday, but I think she did a lot more on the Sunday. I think she was more comfortable. Maybe it's because I wasn't there. But yeah, they killed it. I showed them how everything works, and they're like, "Yep, cool, we got it now. Go have fun and play." I came and check in every now and then, but they were good. They didn't need me. They really did an amazing job. Obviously, I haven't listened to too much of their commentating because I haven't watched a lot of the gameplay yet. But everybody seemed really responsive. The stream seemed to be pretty smooth. So I just want to give them a big shout out and thank them for their help, because this wouldn't have happened without them. So they're a bit more behind the scene people, but they did the heavy lifting.
And I don't think we've really touched on Blake winning the Sydney PQ.
No, good on him.
You may have heard me mention Blake before, as the two-time Star Wars Destiny national champion.
Yes.
And I know I say it as a bit of a joke and just to gas him up a little bit, but you know, this is a classic reason why I gas Blake up. Blake is a phenomenal kart player, and you know, after coming second or being the finalist in the Perth PQ last weekend,
and Baddest Batch
he was really hungry for that win, and he booked his tickets. He came and crashed on my couch. He came second in the Baddest Batch 2K, and then took out the Sydney PQ. So I just want to shout out Blake. You know, he's honorary Baddest Batch member.
Yeah.
He was always honorary Baddest Batch member. So it's not just that he's claimed the win, that we're claiming him as our own, but he was always an honorary Baddest Batch member. And you know, stoked for you in the win. And honestly, that game between you and Tebow was like French kiss. No, what a chef's kiss. Why am I calling it French kiss? It's chef's kiss. Might as well have been a French kiss.
Yeah. You just want a French kiss, Tebow. We all know it. It's fine. We're all
We'll
for
be
it.
there.
It's not like we wouldn't.
Exactly.
I 100% seconded. And I had, I call it the privilege of judging over their games, but just watching them. Like, I got to watch them. I didn't have to worry about anything except that, you know, these games that these guys were playing. And Blake is 100% an absolutely phenomenal player. Watching some of his games when I got the opportunity to was insane. Like,
High-level stuff.
we talk about how that deck is a high skill level deck to pilot, and I think Blake's so good he makes it look easy. And I've played that deck; it's not easy, like at all. So he makes it look easy, and like you can see some of the plays. You see him checking his resource row about 1 million times. He's checking his hand, and you can see him calculating it all out on the board. It's an awesome thing to watch.
It's easy when you can double cutting, double DJ.
Here we go. Here's the salt.
We talked about the first game. It is a
That's
phenomenal
true.
game, but that second
second game?
like,
And I
that
will say
second
this.
game was
was not even.
Whoop me.
You got
Absolute
bent
blowout.
over the absolute coals there. Like,
Double DJ, double cutting.
double DJ, double cut. No
Wasn't
one's
amazing.
coming back from that in any particular way.
In your
shape, or
defense,
form.
in your defense as well, like you drew really flat.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's true.
And then just the turn
Yeah.
one Bodhi just to rip your hand.
No,
was just
Spark. He sparked me.
Spark.
fuck, sorry.
He sparked my Yoda, the dog. But yeah, look, everything went okay. Everything went amazing, I should say. We're really happy. We are already organizing the next one, our next couple of events. Obviously, watch this space. Couple of things coming. And yeah, we're probably not going to play a ton of SWU in the next couple of weeks until pre-release. Bit of Twin Suns. There's still a showdown Monday that TV has to win. So I will
He's gonna join the club.
Wow, no
So
pressure.
I gotta take something that he can win
my
against.
home ground.
I don't know what am I gonna do?
The one I won last set isn't doing a showdown, so
I'm gonna have to take a
I gotta go
Junior
one
Uso
elsewhere.
deck.
I tell you what, I think it'll make it. I think next time, if there's a Wollongong one, considering it is my hometown, I think we won't play. I won't be playing
Yeah.
silly decks that day. That's
Silly
for
decks?
sure.
No, we're not going to play silly decks next time, are we?
I think we'll do silly decks when
Please.
we all win one.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
I know we talked a little bit about it, but a massive shout out to Mega Games in Penrith. So Ellen and Malloy. I don't know if they're going to ever listen to this, but if the Swoo community listens to this, go support those guys. I think we said this. I mean, I definitely say this. They run a cracker of an event, and despite, I know there was some, conversations in some of the community chats. Can't buy tickets and rah rah rah. I think at the end of the day, and I know Tibo, we've had chats with Ellen Malloy. I think their formula works.
Yeah.
Like, it might be different to what we're used to in terms of in other SWU events, but it works.
Yeah.
I think they ran that like a well-oiled machine.
It was great.
And
It was amazing.
like, there is not a single fault that I could think of. They're responsive. They're awesome at building their community and looking after. They looked after us. They looked after the stream team. They looked after myself. I was very shocked because every time I just sort of went to grab a can of V or a bottle of water, I'm always just like, "No, it's on the house. It's on the house." And I was like, "No, come on." He's like, "No. We're looking after the event staff today, so suckers to the rest of you." But no, they look after everyone there, and I think they're super inclusive. They made everyone feel welcome. Really, really good store owners. So very happy to work with them again in the future if they'll have us.
And we will.
I just want to thank everyone that supported us over the weekend, because we would not have had a successful event if it wasn't for everyone taking a chance on us.
Yep.
And coming along and playing and, just working through the little hiccups that we had. And it gives us confidence to move forward as well and run more events. We had an idea that that's what the community wanted. Our goal was to help grow the community and provide these events. At a sacrifice to ourselves, because we're not playing in these events. I would love to play in these events, but we don't get to, because we want to provide it for the community as well, and to help grow that community. Because if we don't grow it and it just dies, as Tibi said earlier, we're not going to get to play the game at all. So we just want to shout out everyone that turned up, brought a ticket, came along and played, had a good time, supported us. And we hope that everyone just keeps continuing to support us so we can just throw bigger and better events.
Yep.
And if there was stuff that you didn't like, reach out to us. Tell us. We've got a Facebook page. We're pretty active on the community Facebook pages. If there's something you didn't like, flick us an email. It's all the information's in the tickets and stuff like that. If there's something you didn't like, let us know. We can't fix what we don't know is broken, and there are things we know that we can do better, and we're going to work on them. But if there's if you think there's something that we might have missed, or you just want to bring to our attention, we're not going to take it personally. We're not going to get defensive about it. We want to run good events. We want to, and I say that we want to run great events. We're setting the bar for ourselves. Clint just loves really emojis at this point. I think he's the middle-aged man.
There we
go.
So if you're not watching the actual video feed,
it doesn't make as much sense.
Thumbs up, and I get this fireworks celebration behind me. I don't know how it works. It just works.
Clint doesn't know how technology works. He just hopes that it does.
Steve was saying, even if you liked everything and there's things that we may have missed and you think we could add and do better, also tell us. Even if you liked everything, just say, "Hey, that was amazing. How about that next time?"
Stroke our egos. If you loved the day, tell us you loved the day.
Yes.
It's good for us to hear as well that you had a good time. We want to know that.
If you didn't love it, we're more than happy to blacklist you as well.
Yeah. We'll start a blacklist.
We are petty. We are that petty.
I'm probably the first one being blacklisted.
You're on the blacklist. Gentlemen, I think we'll wrap this up here. It was a long episode already, but a lot to talk about. I think the next one we'll do will probably be tier list of some kind. We really want to look at what Set 4 is bringing. Yes, TV.
We've got more spoilers to talk about. And
we have heaps of spoilers, but it would be a big it'll be a chunky episode. I want to talk about Kaz. Kaz is intriguing me. But yes,
Kaz is stirred
we'll
up.
talk about it. We'll talk about it. See, we're stirring it up already. We'll wrap it up here, gentlemen. Thank you, both of you, for tuning in, and thank you everybody for listening. We hope you have a good rest of the week, and as always, good soldiers follow orders. Bye.
Deuces.
Yeah.